Our little gospel reading, just 2 verses, is like close brackets or close inverted commas. Brackets work in pairs, don't they? And the Gospel of John begins in the first verse, obviously, with the words, "In the beginning was the Word." It's very definitely a beginning. It announces itself. In the beginning was the Word. This is the open bracket. It doesn't mean just a word, like some letters on a page, something you could find in a dictionary. This word means a message, a communication, a conversation. It means Jesus, because his message, his teaching, his voice and the things he did are really a message from God. The life and work of Jesus. His literal words, but also all he was, his style, his way of being with people, and the things that were done to him. The whole event, the whole story is an utterance from God, a message to people, to us. And the last verse of chapter 20 closes the brackets. It's clearly an ending. It says, Jesus did many other things not written in this book. Interesting there, the book is talking about itself. The story is complete, and these verses are added, and they're no longer telling the story. They're no longer about Jesus or Thomas the doubting disciple, but they're about the book. But these are written so that you may believe, it says. And now the book is also talking to us. It is written so that we may believe. This book has been written to us. The book is a message addressed to us. It is itself a word, a communication, the same message that Jesus himself was, written now for us. We should note, though, that these close bracket verses are not actually the end. There's another whole chapter, an important chapter. And that one ends by saying that there are many other things that Jesus did. And if they were all written down, I don't think the world itself could contain the books that would be written. So the story, the message that Jesus is, can't really fit into a book. It spills out. There's more. Always another chapter. However many books people wrote. I notice as well that the author steps out for the first time in this very final verse. I don't suppose the world itself would be enough to contain all the books that would be written. If you write a book and publish it online or in print, then it's sort of out there. People might read it, they might not. They might like it, they might not, but that's between them and the book. It has a life of its own, like a child that's left the house. But this book is for us, and it has a purpose. It's written by a disciple who thinks and talks about it and says, well, it's just one book. It's not much, really. So this book is tethered to its writer and to its readers. And these people are mentioned. They are not incidental. This is a message from and to. The simplest possible message is really, "Oi," or "Hey there," to call to someone or some people. You could say, "Over here," or "You," or "See me, I'm here," or "Come," or whatever, but you don't really need a language, just "Oi" will do. You might wave as well. That's the simplest possible message. Halfway through the Gospel, chapter 10, Jesus talks about being the good shepherd. My sheep know my voice, he says. They have no idea about his words, about what he's saying, but they recognise the sound of his voice and they follow him. And that's what the Word of God really is at its most basic level. It's calling. It gathers us. And in chapter 20, Jesus is still the Good Shepherd. Just before our reading, he has spoken to Thomas, who was missing the week before when the disciples met the risen Lord. He's come back 7 days later and he shows Thomas his hands and his side. what does the Good Shepherd do? The Good Shepherd searches for the lost sheep. The Good Shepherd gathers his flock. About the time of the resurrection, a strange thing happens to the followers of Jesus, that their lives become much more indoors. In Galilee, Jesus was like a shepherd on the hillside. He called people by the road, he spoke in the markets. It's mainly open air. His followers, as they spread out into the Roman world, will have a more urban lifestyle, be in buildings more than on hillsides. At Easter in Jerusalem, the disciples are in a sort of lockdown, keeping away from the crowds. But Jesus finds them in their homes and rooms, and he gathers them, and the walls and doors are no barrier to him. And why does he gather them? Why does he gather us? A shepherd gathers the sheep to lead them to good pastures where the grass is green, to still waters where they can drink safely without being swept away by the torrent. A shepherd watches so they can lie down and rest, and with a handy stick or two in case of predators, he even leads them through the valley with its shadowy places, and sings out along the way so they can keep together. A good shepherd keeps the sheep safe, watered, fed, and rested. The good shepherd gives the sheep life in all its fullness. And that's why the gospel was written, so that you, plural, we, may believe that Jesus is God's Son, and believing we may have life in his name. How's that going for you, I wonder? Life. How's it going for me? Life is never easy for long, not if you're paying attention. Right now, for many people, it's harder than usual, and that may trouble us. Have we really got the message? Are we doing the believing bit properly? Is this the promised life? But nothing is missing. We do have it all. The message is the life he promises. Jesus is the life. And it includes the hard stuff, the lonely waiting, the fear and reluctance, even the suffering and death. All that Jesus went through is the message, is the life. The reality of his wounds are the sign of his resurrection. So don't worry how it's going. Just be with him. Let him find you, even in your locked and fearful secret place. He is there too, there especially, living out God's message of love. The shepherd comes to find us in our desert, gathering us in, making us part of the great message that God is for us, that God is love. So there is hope.